Is all the push to Washington, D.C. to get passage of USMCA helping? Well, according to one congressman, it is. Good afternoon. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. Last week I sat down with Nebraska Congressman Jeff Fortenberry as we talked about USMCA. We know that there's been the push from the National Chamber of Commerce, from local farm bureaus, local ag producers, and national organizations to get this passed.
Frankly, it's all helping. Unfortunately, you have policy, you have process, and you have politics.
Right.
And sometimes politics can interfere both with process and policy. The policy is the right one. We need to move forward on this. I absolutely was in agreement with the President that this had to be renegotiated. It has been. You've seen the President be very commending publicly to Mexico, and I think that's been important. Some things to get over with Canada in terms of their own processes. But internally in the United States, it's that political equation here. Unfortunately, our system is designed that there's a presidential cycle every 4 years, a congressional cycle every 2 years, and by using the word unfortunate, I mean that it interferes with us being able to do good policy. I'm hopeful, though, that this fall there will be other must-passes pieces of legislation, such as finishing up our budget. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. And in those windows, there may be a moment where we can come together and get this passed and get it behind us. That's important to Nebraska farmers. It's important for America's well-being.
Well, we know, Congressman, that they say that what's been happening in the impeachment talks and all those workings that are underway right now might overshadow getting this done before the elections next year.
It's the wild card. It quite possibly could be the case. I think, frankly, America is exhausted by all this drama. My advice to Congress, less drama, more work. I think this would go a long way toward reestablishing not just a credibility of the governing institutions, but actually regrounding us in something good. I think there is enough sympathy on both sides of the political aisle to create a pathway for the new trade agreement. But the wild card variable is the political dynamic.
We know it also affects more than just those in the ag industry.
Right.
I mean, this USMCA not getting it taken care of, it affects manufacturing, it affects all three countries, and blue-collar workers in all three countries.
Yeah. It also affects Mexico. Maybe we don't necessarily want to talk about that, but I've heard from Mexican officials that the whole idea of an agreement with America actually reset the nature of the diplomatic relationship. We don't want to move. We don't want to lose that. We have problems at our border with illegal entry. Mexico is now setting up a National Guard type of entity instead of federales just moving in and moving out. That's helpful. There's an agreement on asylum with Mexico. That's been very helpful. This is why the President, I think, has been commending Mexico publicly. Enhancing a spirit of cooperation with our neighbor to the south is very important.
As you look and we move forward, we know this has to be taken care of. We look beyond USMCA. What are some other things in Washington, D.C. that you guys are working on?
China is on the march. North Korea's problem with the development of nuclear weapons, unresolved. Iran, a potential powder keg. Russia continues its nationalistic, expansionistic myth. The world is changing. The 21st century architecture for both military as well as diplomatic and development relationships are absolutely critical to be rethought and engaged in robustly.
Part of my conversation with Congressman Fortenberry. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network.